Hi there, my name is Donovan. I'm Doggy on Magic Arena. Going to be doing a little bit of a deck tech today on the Rackdos Sacrifice deck that I've been playing in Historic Ranked. As you can see, it's been pretty successful. I've gotten up to the low numbers in the ranked ladder. So let's go here and edit the deck. Bring that up and we'll just go through the list. It's a Lurrus deck. You can see I've just been using it in best of one. I don't have a sideboard other than Lurrus. Yeah, he's excellent. I mean, it's pretty much just a freebie in this deck. You don't need to have him. He comes for free. You wouldn't want to change it any other way. So there's no reason not to have him. And he does some pretty crazy things when you get an opportunity to bring him in. Pretty much everything, yeah, any permanent, non-land permanent comes back with him. So that recurs all of these things, which obviously have a lot of ETB triggers. And yeah, it can get pretty wild once you've got him out. We've got two Archfiend's Vessel, so 1/1 lifelinker. Obviously, its main goal is to become this 5/5 flying demon, but the 1/1 lifelinker isn't bad either. There's a lot of matchups in the format where your life total is very relevant, and this little inconsequential life gain actually does get you over the line sometimes. Works really well with Claim to Fame. Turn 2, you just get a 5/5 out. Even later, if you need to gain some life, you can just fame it. It's a 3/1, get lifelink, get your 3 life, and sometimes that's enough. So yeah, it's just a 2-of, because unfortunately when you bring it back, it does exile itself, so that's not ideal, but if it didn't do that, I think it'd be a bit too strong. Then we've got Cauldron Familiar. Obviously this is one of the work engines with Witch's Oven in this deck. We only play 3 because you're sort of more relying on, we'll get later, to Stitcher's Supply, to bringing them into your graveyard and then bring it back with the food. Lots of decks just cannot handle an early Familiar and a Witch's Oven and just the constant pinging of their life. You know, I've seen people concede to just Witch's Oven and a Cauldron Familiar and they go, well, can't deal with that. So it does give you a lot of free wins. Makes the deck a little bit tedious to play, but once you get the hang of it, it's quite fun just to ping it off. We've got a new card here in Malika Rebirth. This used to be a Serrated Scorpion, but these new cards with the double-sided lands, this one and the Ahadim's Awakening, are just a little bit too strong not to have. This does some very exciting things, especially with Stitcher Supplier, where you bring it in, you sack it, you bring it in again, and you've got 9 cards straight into your graveyard there just with that little combo, and you're off to the races. Yeah, it's excellent. The little 2 life loss is not the end of the world, because we do have, as I said before, some life gain with Lurrus, this Archfiend's Vessel, and obviously the kitty and all the food that you can possibly eat. So that 2 life's not the end of the world. Then this is obviously we go into Stitcher Supply. This is the crown piece of the deck. As far as I'm concerned, it's the best card in this deck. It's probably the best card in the format. I mean, it runs in multiple decks, not only this very low to the ground one, but it plays in the company version and the spells version. It's the best card in those decks as well, so it's hard to see the deck actually working without it. The deck can run pretty nicely without you finding a Stitcher Supplier, but it just hums at a real nice pace once you've got one. If you've got 1 or 2 Stitcher Suppliers coming back with Malika, or you're claiming it back, you're off to the races, and sometimes you can just overwhelm your opponent very, very early, and there's nothing they can do about it. Claim to the Firstborn. The number on this I'm not so sure about. I'm currently running 4 because there are a lot of aggressive decks running around currently. We've got goblins, and that hyper-aggressive red deck. So I've gone up to 4 on these because stealing their creatures, sacking them, or this is essentially just a 1-mana remove Skirk Prospector spell. Yeah, obviously if you're playing against goblins and you don't have an answer for that card, chances are you're not going to do very well. This falls in, obviously then it has other implications where you can steal one. If they've got 2 creatures, you steal one, you sacrifice it with the priest, they sacrifice their other creature. It gets pretty nasty. The untap and haste adds an extra element where, you know, I can play a priest and actually just cast this on my own creature to give it haste, and off we go. Works really nicely with Croxa as well. You can give that haste. Yeah, those are the 2 things. I mean, it doesn't happen particularly often that you use that side of the card, but it does come into play quite often. Then Forge Devil, this is the cheeky little bastard. The gotcha card in the deck. It's excellent. It doesn't look very amazing on the surface level, but in this deck, it just basically turns into hard removal. It turns all of your calls into hard removal, bringing it back, putting a death touch counter on it. Malika Rebirth, you've got a Witch's Oven out, they've got a 2/2, play the Forge Devil, put Malika Rebirth on it, sacrifice it, it comes back, ping again, gets rid of many 2-power creatures in the format that are problemsome. Yeah, it's just excellent. A lot of people don't play around it. You can often attack into a 2/2 with your kitty, they take the damage, you get them with the Forge Devil, and actually that's often enough where just that little gotcha, because your kitty ends up coming back and they've, you know, lost one of their very important creatures to this little bastard. Witch's Oven, the more the merrier. Obviously this card is excellent in this deck, runs with Cauldron's Familiar exceptionally well. More often you're sacrificing Croxa to it. You play Croxa, put it on the stack, sacrifice this. You get two foods, and then the kitty start coming back, and then you start cycling. You're off to the races. There's nothing they can do about it. They've discarded. They're starting to lose life. It's impossible to often come back once there's 1 or 2 Witch's Ovens on the battlefield. Then we've got Priest of the Forgotten Gods. This card is excellent. More often than not, if you want to play this on turn 2, you can't really go wrong. Once you've activated it once, you tend to feel that you're in an exceptionally strong position. The mana that you get to accelerate with is incredible. The plays that it leads to are turn 3, you know, you play your little, you've got a creature out, you've got this priest out, you play a Stitches, sacrifice, they're sacrificing a creature, then you play Call of the Death Dweller because of the extra mana that you've got, and you cycle all those creatures back, and they're in a dire situation. The draw is obviously excellent as well. I mean, it just does everything you want it to do in the deck, and often people kill it on the spot because they don't have an answer. That's why we're playing so many of these recurring spells that bring things back from the graveyard. It's a bit high, but I've tested the deck multiple times and I feel that these numbers are right. Dreadlord Butcher obviously is the aggressive line. This deck is very, very low to the ground. I mean, it curves out at 3 mana tops. This is just a bonus, this Achadim. And turn 2 Dreadhorde, turn 3 Dreadhorde is often enough to win out against control matchups. They just can't deal with the pace of it, and early concessions happen pretty often when this card comes to the bay. It also has the ping ability, which again works really, really well with Call of the Death Dwellers, putting a death touch counter on it, then it dies, you kill a creature, or you go straight to the face. It works really well with Claim to Fame, especially the +2 ability over there. Sometimes you've got a Menace Death Touch Dreadhorde, that's a 2/2 or something. You pump it up to a 4/4. You swing through, hit for 4, becomes a 5. Sacrifice it, do 5 to the face. I mean, there's 9 points of damage just with that little combo over there. Works really well with everything else in the deck, and yeah, that's why it's a 4 of. These are 4 of slots over here. Then we've got Croaker, obviously one of the main pieces in the deck. Probably the next best card next to Stitcher's Supplier. I mean, I know this little uncommon doesn't look great, but really it's the cream of the crop. Croaker is your finisher. It feeds you with Witch's Oven to get your kitties back. It feeds your third creature into Priest. You know, you play it, you sacrifice it, it's going to die anyway. They have to discard a card, lose 3 life, and once you've got it in, often that the next turn, on say turn 3, that's even enough to just play it hard cast. Once you get that 6/6 out, it's very, very difficult. The card that obviously struggles against is Claim the Firstborn. This deck has a bit of a struggle playing against this card, but it's exceptionally good with it. Yeah. Then we've got our reanimation package. We've got 2 claims, 4 Call of the Death Dwellers, obviously because we're running the Forge Devils and the Dreadhorde Butchers. These just become hard removals with those often. Then, yeah, this is the card that you want to be playing on turn 3 as often as you possibly can. It just overwhelms the opposition, kills their creatures, nullifies their board removal. Like, they Wrath of God the next turn, you've got 2 creatures back in play and swinging at them again, and that's all you need. Then we've got this. This is just a bonus spell. It's more often than not a land in the deck, but there are some times where the games go long, and this can just completely blow out the opponent. I've played it on 6 mana before, bringing back a Lurist, a Dreadhorde Butcher, and a 5/5, and off the little bang goes, and you get your concession. So often you're playing it as a land. Sometimes for 3 life, that's not necessarily a problem. We've already seen how the deck can play with its life very, very well. And this is just a fun bonus card. Adds another land, as does Malika Rebirth. Because of these 2 cards, I've got to drop 1 land. And it's just excellent. Then we go to our lands for Phyrexian Tower. This card sometimes can be a little bit awkward, but often it's the little bit of power boost that the deck needs to get over the line. Playing turn 1 Stitcher's Supplier, then playing this and having 3 mana and just having a call in your hand, sacrificing it. You've got 6 cards. You can play a call on turn 2 with it, bring back 2 creatures from the graveyard. I've gone turn 1 Stitches with a swamp, turn 2 Phyrexian Tower, sacrifice my Stitches, bring back Archfiend and a Dreadhorde. You're off to the races. You've got a 5/5 flyer on turn 2, and the opposition is sitting there having played a land and a growth spiral, and that's it. We got 5 swamps, 5 mountains, just a solid split over there. We've got lots of black early plays, which is fine, but we need the mountains because we do need the double red for Croaker. Sometimes we need the early Forge Devil. Then we've got 4 Blood Crypts, that's a given. 4 Dragon Skull Summits, that's a given. And the 1 of Fable Passage. This does sort of look weird in the deck because you don't really want any of your lands to be coming in tapped. Obviously Malika Rebirth is a bonus, so you're more playing it on its spell side than its mana side. This doesn't come in tapped if need be. This is the only card other than Dragon Skull Summit that would come into play tapped. However, its strength lies in the fact that it is the 15th mountain or swamp for your Dragon Skull Summits. It also feeds Croaker into the graveyard. It also fixes the 4th land for Croaker Escape Often you're sitting with, you know, 2 mountains and a swamp, and you want to bring Croaker back. Fabled Passage sorts you out there, puts something in your graveyard, fixes your last mana. It does a lot of things that you don't expect it to. It's probably one of the better cards in the deck as well. Yeah, I think the one of is perfect because it's really good on either turn 1 to fix your Dragon Skulls or turn 4. And yeah, I was considering taking it out, but I think its place is well deserved considering what it's done in the past. That's pretty much it. The deck runs super aggressively. We're going to play some gameplay. Yeah, let's get to it. Waiting on some opponents here. Playing against SGB. We go first. Unfortunately, we've got a mulligan or one lander. Just as I was saying, Fable, there it is. Fabled Passage. We do keep this. We don't have a Stitches. We don't know what we're playing against. It's either the Kitty or the Forge Devil. I can't... We don't have an idea of what we're playing against yet. I don't have anything to recur the Forge Devil, but sometimes it's excellent. So I am going to go ahead and risk it and keep the Forge Devil. Play Fabled Passage on turn 1. We'll disactivate it now because we're going to have to do that anyway. Get out our swamp and make it go. Now, because I played that, I'm thinking that my Forge Devil is a better play. Don't have a third land, unfortunately. So I'm going to play Priest. Because often doesn't have another option other than to play the creature. Don't crush giants. Okay, that's fine. Now we can go to Dreadhorde, and the Witch's Oven. And end the turn. Phyrexian Tower, Mayhem Devil. Perfect. Claim. Take your Mayhem Devil. Get aggressive here. Hit for 5. That's a lot of damage in the matchup. Sacrifice the Mayhem Devil. Obviously, get another ping. And then at this stage, Lurrus is great in the hand. We don't have anything to bring back as of yet. Stitcher Supply is often the best draw, as it would be here. It's interesting. And there she is. However, I do think that Forge Devil here pinging off. Their blocker is pretty good. And I will go in for the attack. He may or may not trade. I suspect he would. Absolutely fine. Take out 3. And I get the Lurrus out. Now, this is obviously a dangerous play. He's got the name. And he can play Lurrus and get... Well, he actually can't even get something back yet. But it doesn't matter because I've got the Witch's Oven anyway. I suspect he'll play Bone Crusher. Blood Artist. I'm not too frightened about that. Crusher. Okay. Now, my turn. That's an excellent draw. Okay. I can go Priest and a Dreadhorde. Stitches here is obviously also very good. But I do think it's right. Well, before I play that Priest, I'm going to play this Dreadhorde and then swing in. Tough choice. Do we actually care about this Bone Crusher? The inconsequential life gain of this Blood Artist is a bit of a worry. So it's tough, and I think it is the Blood Artist. Unfortunately. And then I believe I have to risk it for the Priest. It just puts an extra pressure on them to have an answer for 2 things. They can get away with answering the Stitches. Woe Strider, they don't have the Graveyard for. Blood Artist again. That's not really a worry. This is where it becomes very good if they don't have an answer for Lurrus. Mayhem Devil could be a big problem if they've got it. They do. They don't have a sacrifice out. I need to draw, basically claim the Firstborn. my turn. Okay, Croak says not that bad. I actually believe we play. I think I draw a red mana. I do want to get the last card out of their hand. It's just going to deplete them. They'll be left with nothing in their hand and a Mayhem Turtle. Okay, I can resolve that. That's absolutely fine. Where the problem comes in. I believe I should have played Stitcher Supplier and sacrificed it first. Is the first thing I should have done. My land was excellent for them. Not only full Fabled Passage, ironically enough. They're only 4 now. Lifted at the top. That's interesting because they probably want to sacrifice this. Well, they can do it whenever they want. They do have to shuffle. Now if they want to kill a priest, they have to sacrifice one of their creatures. Take all of that 7 actually. I'll need to draw a red land, and I'll need to draw one Dragon Skull Summit or a mountain. I'll need to draw it pretty quickly. I can't sacrifice that because unfortunately that was not the draw. Okay, I could have had some pretty good draws there. Unfortunately, the game is just over. Okay, I needed to draw a red. That wouldn't have really helped me because that was, I made a big punt.